I might have to jump off very soon into another meeting, Monica.
Oh, that's okay,
I
Keith.
just went to see if I
Thank you
get
for
pulled in.
joining.
Pulled in. I'll watch the recording though. Thanks.
Okay, team. So this is a session for Power BI and beyond, just to upskill the team. And we have Indira here is our Microsoft MVP, Power BI teacher, guru, and etc. etc. So she is one of the best person that we can, the first person I think that we can think of just to teach on Power BI. So thank you for running the session as well, Indira, for the team. And the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Monica. Okay, I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so I'm just going to cover Power BI May and June features because we just have 1 hour. So, and also even within that, I'll cover these three major updates that were released in May and June. That's the agenda for today. And let's get into it. I just want to introduce a bit about the Power BI architecture that was prior to that was there prior to May 2022, before the introduction of the data marts. So actually, the Power BI was launched in 2015 with a view to help citizen developers, because these citizen developers are mainly business users and are not BI developers. So they are so they want access to the data to do their own analysis, but they can't write code, or they want to write less code. So they won't be writing the T-SQL statements, and also they won't be using the SSMS tools, other BI tools like the SSIS, SSRS, SSAS, and things like that, analysis services and things like that, because BI developers are a different breed to citizen data analysts. So yeah, they want to write different codes. And but if what about the governance part of it? And what about the can we reuse the components that these citizen data analysts are these citizen data analysts are developing? So to keep this in view, I want to introduce uh, the layered architecture of Power BI, which includes, like, for example, the date tables will be used in all the Power BI all the Power BI files, or sometimes customer dimensions and currency dimensions. These are like they hardly change, or maybe change it twice a year or something like that. So these kind of things at the moment, and also some of the DAX expressions, if you write in one file, and sometimes you might want to use those complex DAX formulas into other Power BI files as well. So in order to reuse these components, um, Power BI has introduced a concept called data flows. So people can create data flows for date tables and customer tables and currency tables. So the current architecture, the prior architecture for prior to May 2022 is like this. So you have the data sources, which can be used to create shared data sets, or you can create data flows. Data flows is mainly, it's a skeleton, and data flows mainly contain the reusable components of the Power BI reports. And then these data sets can then be used in either Excel or Power BI desktop reports or Power BI paginated reports to do the analysis part of it. And that is the current layered architecture. So this way, there can be people developing shared data sets. Those people can be IT team as well. Also, there can be IT personnel developing the data flows, and then the citizen developers can be using these shared data sets and data flows to create the Power BI files. But then this is where the concept of the data mart has been rolled out. So what a data mart is it's a new self-service capability where the requirement is you need to have a Power BI premium, and that can be used for uncovering actionable insights through their own data without any help from the IT teams. And then they will be empowered with the ability to build a relational database for analytics with no code and or zero code, and also the workloads can be up to 100 GB, and this will not compromise any enterprise security and governance. As I said earlier, this requires Power BI premium, and in the earlier scenario also we could do all this, but it we for creating relational database we should create that in a SQL database. It can be either Azure SQL database or on-premise SQL database. If we are using Azure SQL database, then what we require is the Azure subscription and then Azure SQL database payments and those kind of things. But now with the introduction of data mart to create the relational database, we don't need the Azure subscription. We don't need the database license and database costs. We won't be paying the database costs. And also for refreshing the database, you need a ADF pipeline. So we don't need all that because all that is taken care of automatically, after we create the data mart. So that is the advantage of the data mart. If we look at the data mart structure, architecture, so we use the same data sources and then we create the data flows, and that can be as a one layer. And these data flows and the data from the data sources can be used to create a data warehouse in the background. And that data warehouse is an Azure SQL database and will be stored in the ADLS Azure Data Lake storage. And this will then be used to create a shared data set. And all this can be created by the citizen developers itself because there is a UI that is developed, which is called the Power Query Online, to manage and develop this one. And that UI is really very easy to use because it's Power Query. Whoever has been using Power BI desktop are really familiar with Power Query, so it is the same interface, and they wouldn't even know that whatever is happening in the background, that happens automatically. And then these shared data sets will be used in the either Excel reports or Power BI reports or Power BI paginated reports. So that is the new structure of the Power BI data mart. Any questions so far? No questions. Okay. So let me demonstrate how to create a data mart. So I'm just going to go into my MVP tenant because I have premium there. I don't have premium anywhere else. So I have this premium workspace, which is called demo IND. And how do you recognize a premium workspace? That should have a diamond here. And so when I go into this one, there is something called new. And in this, you have a data mart, which is in public preview now. So you can just create the data mart by clicking on the new and the data mart. And once you click on the data mart, then you get this. It's taking a bit of time. I don't know, maybe my internet. Yeah, okay. So you can either import data from SQL Server, which is on premise. It can be so when you have on premise, you need to have gateway for refreshing, and you can also import from Excel. You can also import from a data flow, which I talked about earlier. Or also you can get data from a lot of other sources. I think there are about 160 sources that you can choose from here. You can choose analysis services, access, whatever you want to. I think most of the connectors are there, 160 connectors. Today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a OData data source, which is in an XML format. So I'm just going to copy that.
Sorry,
And,
Indira,
yeah.
Can I just ask you a question here, please? This data mart, before we continue, this data mart, what structure is this data mart? Is it like a snowflake schema, a star schema, relational schema?
It's star schema.
It's star schema
yeah.
without snowflaking. So
no, we can't say that it is without snowflaking. It's mainly relational database. It creates a relational database under the hood in a Azure SQL database.
Okay, so the relationship is relational. It's not a star schema because star schema is an OLAP.
Yeah, it's not a star schema. It's a relational database where you can it automatically defines based on the relationships that we define. It automatically defines the relationship under the hood in the Azure SQL.
So it doesn't have facts and dimensions. It's just tables relationally joined to each other.
Yeah, you can have facts and dimensions, but it depends on what the data you are ingesting. They need not be fact tables.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, it's a bit confusing. I guess it's something we'll need to investigate a bit more when it comes to the structure itself. But I just want to listen and learn the concept which you're showing us today. Thanks.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. So I'll choose OData. And then that's the connector I'm going to choose, and I am going to paste the URL that I have here, and I don't need any gateway, and that is anonymous. So I'm just going to go next. And here I see the structure of the tables that are there in that XML link. So I'm just going to, let's say I'm going to import orders, order data, and customers, and maybe employees. I'll just import a few tables and then go into transform. All this is Power Query Online. So now you see this interface, and you can see all the tables that you have imported. If you want to remove some of the columns, you can remove. And if you want to do some transformations, you can do. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to load it. So save. And here, these are the things that are getting done. So Power Query is processing, building ETL rules, and then creating relationships, starting data load. And yeah, these are all loading the data, and then not much data here. So, and then wrapping up the things. And then this will be saved in the workspace, because I access the new data mart from the workspace, from the premium workspace. This is going to save in that same workspace. Okay, so wrapping up things, I'm just going to go to the workspace. Okay, it's already in the workspace. So now you can rename that to, let's say, and here you have these tabs. This is the table view of the tabs. You can again transform here, transform data and enter new data and things like that. At the moment, there is no support for new columns and new calculated tables, because you can just see new measure, but there is no new column and new calculated tables, because it's just introduced. It is going to evolve, and those things are going to be in the coming releases. Now here, if you look at here, you can write queries, which, for example, I'm just going to drag this table. It's a bit slow. Customers, or maybe I just do. Is there an order ID here? Customer ID maybe. Okay, let's go here. And if we go order ID. Okay, so that is customer ID, and in the orders, you have the order ID and the there is an employee ID, customer ID. So you can link these two to do the these two tables to do the query, and this is, we don't need any code for this one. But here in here in this tab, this is like the icon is like SSMS. So here you can write the code as select top 10 star that is my star from customers. See, it's the IntelliSense is also working, and then you can run it, and then the data will come here. So that's and then you can see the relationships here. So it has already brought the relationships based on the data that is already there. So this is this is in brief how the data mart looks. And then this is already saved as a data mart in this workspace. And this data mart can also be used from Power BI desktop. So if we go into Power BI desktop, let's say, for example, if I go home, I just go home, and then there is something called data hub. Yeah, see, this is the data hub that was introduced in, I think, May as well. It used to be Power BI data sets only, but now there is data mart. So if I click on that, provided I'm connected to the same tenant, I think I'm connected to the same tenant, I can see my data mart now. So these two are the two data marts that I have in that particular data hub. So data hub, in the sense, you will see all the data marts that are available in the tenant. Not only that's the reason you have the workspace column here. So data hub is it shows all the data marts that is there in the tenant. It's not just the workspace data marts. So you can connect to that and then do your analysis in the Power BI desktop. You can also do what is that? Yeah, here. So you can also create reports from the data mart itself. So notice that you have when I created the data mart, it automatically created a data mart and a data set. So you can create report using either the create report from the ... It's taking a little bit of time depending on the internet. I think I'm sitting a bit inside, so it's a bit, maybe I'll turn off my video. I want to show the settings and the other features. Let me go here. Yeah, okay, so this is what I have done last night. So okay, so you can use create report. You can also use analyze in Excel. You can manage permissions for using this one. And also you can look at the settings. And in this settings, you can connect to the server using Management Studio by using this connection string. You can just copy this, and then in the Management Studio, you can just go connect and then give the database string, and then you should be good to go. So I'm not using that at the moment. So, but you can the IT developers can use that string to connect in the backend to the Azure SQL database, and you can also edit the credentials here, schedule, refresh, all those things. And for the governance purposes, if you have sensitivity labels and things like that, those are also taken care of here under the endorsement and discovery and things like that. It is still evolving, but some of the features are also there. So that's a brief demo of the data marts. Any questions?
Yes. Yes, I've got a couple of questions. Sorry,
Yeah.
Indira. First of all, I appreciate you showing us this. That's definitely very interesting and stuff like that. Thank you very much. Okay. My question for you, and I'm not expecting you to answer it, but maybe just something to keep in mind from the team's point of view, is more architectural question based on our methodology, right? So what I'm seeing here, and correct me if I'm wrong here, this data mart technology is really awesome, but it can become a mess as well. Okay, why I'm saying this is that, you know, if you've got this data mart, the way I see it, and I could be wrong, I'm positioning this to read off our data lake and not from our data warehouse. Okay, because in the data lake you've got various different sources, and you can put it together with data flows, and you can create a data mart, and it can be presented into Power BI for insight purposes, machine learning, AI. So I see this data mart as part of unstructured data. Okay, when it comes to structured data, we've got our structured data in our data warehouse, where we do have our ODS, our data mart area, and our presentation area, right? So I do not see this data mart pushing data into our data warehouse, okay? Because then you're keeping logic outside of the data warehouse, right? I see this data mart as more power users or that can use this for self-service BI, okay?
Yes,
Self-service reporting, self-service BI, insights analysis. This is where I see this data mart with the data flows. Okay.
Yes, that's absolutely correct.
Benny, you've got your hands up here. Am I in the right direction or not?
Yes, I think your understanding is right. Mainly for the main motive is for self-service, and also self-service of the business users, rather than because if you have data warehouses already, I don't see a purpose in using the data marts. Yeah, in using the data marts as because that creates the data warehouse itself. So yeah, if you have data flows and shared data sets, I think you should be using those.
Benny, you wanted to say something?
Benny?
Yeah, Peter, a very good place for us to use data marts would be for the asset guys, because they're writing their own SQL, but currently they've got a login to connect to their Asala SQL box and write SQL in there. So the idea is we can take that away. We pull everything into data mart. It would be maintained and governed at a presentation level, so at a reporting level. So we've got row level security and all that type of stuff on there, and they can actually write Transact SQL. So a very good use case for data marts in our environment in TCC would be for the asset guys, because they're writing their own SQL.
Okay, but okay, so wait, let me just understand it. Okay, so we've got the asset information in our data warehouse, right? Okay, and then we're giving them reports, and they're hitting the presentation layer of their queries and stuff like that, right? So where does this data mart technology play a role here? I'm a bit confused here.
I would build the data mart based of the Asala data that's reading from that replica server for them.
Yes, I think, yeah, that should be, it's like you can use it like a view for the asset, whatever team that is, based on the existing data warehouse, so that it is not giving more pressure, more performance issues on the actual data warehouse.
It would be excellent for analysis. So they would be actually doing like sort of our data discovery for us, because we're giving them a platform where they can go and have a look at the data without committing to what data we need to load into the warehouse. And based on that, we will actually get a lot of information and knowledge from them that will help us to take that data into our warehouse. I wouldn't build it off our warehouse for them. I will do it directly off that replica server for them.
That's why I'm asking. So once again, yes. So we are in agreement here, basically, right? So this data mart basically sits outside the warehouse, right? And whoever builds it they are reliable or responsible for it, right? So
Well,
if the seller guys build it, they're going to be responsible for it, right? Because there's separate logic sitting in there.
Yeah, but what do you do if you get a scenario like this? A seller wants to know what data we've got, so that they can look at the data and tell us what information we need to give them from the data. I mean, we are not how can I say, business orientated people that knows everything about their seller data. So the most beneficial way we can handle this is by giving them access to their data. They
From the warehouse.
Yeah, we can even do it from the warehouse. It's just a safe space because we're doing that from the presentation layer. We're doing that from a reporting layer. We're not giving them raw data, and they could write T-SQL on it.
Okay, yeah. So that comes to the point where, you know, this data mart will be used by power users, people that actually knows SQL and stuff like that as well, right? This is not for, you know, just a low-level power users. Okay, this is for guys that want to do their own thing and then provide feedback, and we can, you know, create that self-service loop and enhance and continuous improvement on where we're actually going with our stuff.
But it's also creating a platform for people that wants to elevate their skills to move into that area.
Yeah, for sure. But this is a this is a middle step here, is what I'm saying, right? To the warehouse and stuff. But I hear what you guys saying. I just need to position this. I'm trying to prevent this coming in and it just gets out of hand. That's all I'm saying. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and also I think your point, Peter, of including the logic at the data warehouse level, you will have all the logic at the data warehouse level, and it won't go out beyond that. Right? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is about the data marts. Now I think I'll have a field parameters demo as well. So what I will cover here is I'm just going to go to my Power BI desktop. Here I have a sales graph, and I want to analyze that by, let's say, product category. So I use that, and then I'm using I'm seeing the breakdown by product category. What if I also want to see the thing by see that breakdown by city and some other fields as well? So this is where earlier what we used to do is we used to create either bookmarks, create a lot of graphs, and then create bookmarks, and then use and then create the charts, or using calculation groups, which is outside the Power BI, which is by, I think calculation groups are created using the tabular editor. So in order to avoid all this, in May's Power BI desktop update, there was a new feature called field parameters. So if we go into the modeling tab, there is something called new parameter. And if you click on the drop down, you see something called numeric range and fields. Numeric range was already there earlier. Now the newly introduced menu item is the fields. So if I click on that, and if I drag, let's say, category name, and let's say city, and I also want promotion category or something. I'm just creating something, and I want to name this as, let's say, for example, breakdown list, and then I will create it. So once I create it, it creates a entity here, and when you open that, it creates one more item, like it's like a table and a field column sort of thing. So that I can use here as a slicer. And then if I click city, this should automatically change. But why is it not changing? Can anyone tell me? Just want to make it interactive, but yeah, because I still have in the x-axis the category name, which is hard coded. So that's why I can't change it. So I have to include that even that in here as well. So now, because I chose city, it is giving me city breakdown. If I choose category name, it gives me that breakdown, and promotion category also, it is giving me that breakdown. What if I want to, let's say, add some more fields into that? Let's say, I don't know. Yeah, if what it does is, if you click on that newly created field, it's actually creating a measure, and it's using the name of function. Name of function requires the field name. And then this is nothing but whatever you see here. You can change it, say, let's say you just say product category, and then that will change there. And if I want to add more, I just simply copy that and then Alt Enter and Control V. And let's say I am going to, maybe let's say store or something. Just thinking on the fly. Store. And then this one, I want to change this to the store. Let's say store manager. Okay. And then I will say this as store manager. This function has two parts to it. One is the name, and this one is the sort order. So we have to change the sort order. So because we have copied the last one, it is still 2. I can change that to 3. But it's still showing an error. The reason why it's showing an error is it needs a comma, because we have added a new one. So once I do that, if I click on it, yeah, you can just see the store manager as well. Yes, some data. Yeah. So that's one way to use it. Next way is for you can use it with measures as well. So making adjustments now here. Here you have, I have two measures metrics. This I have already constructed. So one is the sales percentage and sales percentage of total, and the other one is the sales. Okay, so now what I've done here is created a period list. Period list is nothing but the date hierarchy here. It's drilling down, it's month, by quarter, by year, and also YTD. Period list, I'll just show you. So this is the period list. Year, quarter, month. This is taking data from the date dimension. And here, if you see one view, this is also another slicer in a horizontal button style. So here sales you already are seeing, and you can here you can see the sales percentage of total. So these are the measures that we are using to dynamically change. So for that, I created a measure list, which is if we look at this one, just using the same but measures. So it not only works for fields but also for measures. And I want to show you another thing. You can use it as a legend as well. So for example, here you have the breakdown list, and you can move the breakdown list to the legend. And then you can add the date hierarchy here. I'm just showing you different scenarios. Date hierarchy here in the x-axis. Now this one you can drill down to, this is the quarter, month, and then week. And then also you can drill up. So there are multiple possibilities of using these. You can use them for fields, measures, and also you can use that as a legend. And so let's say you have a scenario where you have this chart and then you have this product breakdown. It's the product breakdown. Let me just give me a minute. Yeah, product breakdown is another, this one. What if you want to now create a top 10 product list in the same scenario based on the sales? So for that, here I have created in the product table, what I've done is I have created a top 10 product column where I rank the products based on the sales, and then whatever is ranking below 10, I'm giving that as the product name. And then, yeah, see this one, the sales rank is below 10. So if it is below 10, below or equal to 10, then the product name will be appearing. Otherwise, it will be blank. So this is the column that I have created. So this is again another field. And then now if we modify this, if we go back to the visualization, and if I modify this measure to include the top 10, I think that's what it is. And also make sure that you change the order, then you can all in the same thing, you can get the top 10 products as well. So these are some of the use cases that, so here you can get the top 10 products based on sales. So you can customize it. I have given about four or five scenarios here. So that's about field parameters. Next one is, let me go back to the presentation. The other one I want to show you is, which is quite useful for, I think, senior management team, is the Power BI data storytelling. So with this new feature, this is introduced in the June update. You can embed live data in your PowerPoint. Until now, you can only just use a screenshot of the data, but now you can interact with the Power BI report from within your PowerPoint. So you can embed live there. What it needs is you need to add use an add-in, Power BI add-in in PowerPoint. I'll show you how to do that. You just need to download from Microsoft Store. You can freeze the view and also you can share the presentation. So I'll just take you through the demo here. So, okay, I have this report by manufacturer, and I want this to be interactive, to be used interactively in the PowerPoint presentation. So there is a slicer here for all the manufacturers. So at the moment it is showing Van Arstel. If I click on Piram, then it should take me there like that. It should exactly operate like this. And also if you use the play axis here, it should be all interactive like this. So for that, what you can do is in your PowerPoint, what you can do is before we do that, we need to ensure that you have the add-in. For doing that, don't go to the add-ins here because this shows only what you have or already have. So this add-ins is a bit confusing. Most of them don't have as well this menu item. Go into the insert, and then there is a add-in ribbon. On the ribbon there is an add-in icon here. So click on the drop down and get add-ins. This is where you get the add-in. So this opens directly the Microsoft Store. So from here you just search for Power BI and choose this Microsoft Power BI and add. I have already added, so I'm not adding it. So now what I want to do is in here, I want to get the get that report. So I just go here, insert, and before doing that, I just want to copy this one. There are two ways to copy. You can either use share and PowerPoint. That way you will get the embed link. So you can copy that, or you can use this straight away. So I'll copy this one and go into my slide here, wherever you want to place it, and go insert and then add in my add-ins and Microsoft Power BI. And here you paste that link and then insert. Now you get the report as it is. And here, if you see the interaction, you can just see the same interaction. All the buttons are working, and also, let's say, for example, even the play axis is working. Right now, and also there are some other, you can either collapse this toolbar. There is a toolbar down, insignificant toolbar, and then if you get that up, you can actually have, if you don't want this to appear, and then if you want to change, then you can just say clear data and then add a new URL. You can do that. And here, this one is where you define whether you want filters to appear or not. This is where you appear. If you want to do refresh, you can do a refresh from here. And if you click here, see, this is the filters pane. If you want to make it enable, you can make it enable. Otherwise, you can make it disabled from here. So that's the Power BI. And here there is another option. If you want to freeze the data, you can just show as saved image. You can click that, and then the data won't change. It won't be interactive anymore. You can do that. And for sharing, if you want to share this presentation and still make the live data available, then what you need to do is you need to include the if you share this PowerPoint with the people, then what you can do is it automatically gives the access to the person that you are sharing with. And if they don't have access, but they need to have the license, and if they don't have access, then they can request access, so that when they request access, the request comes to the owner of the Power BI report. So that's in brief the data storytelling link. And yeah, I think that's the end of it. That's recap. So we have seen what Power BI Data Mart is, and I have briefly touched upon Data Hub. If we look at the service, even at the service, there is a Data Hub here, where you can see all the data sources, data marts, and data sets. Not data sources, but data marts and data sets. So this view has been developed because in many enterprises, you have a lot of data sets, and sometimes people replicate them without knowing that there is already a data set that is existing. So for that to reduce that effect, they have developed this data hub, so that you can see all the data marts and data sets here. And yeah, you can see my data, and also whatever is endorsed for me is endorsed here. So yeah, so that's about data hubs, and we have seen the use cases for field parameters, and also how the Power BI data storytelling can be done in PowerPoint. Thank you for listening. So any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Indira. I guess for creating the data sets, then the naming convention has to come down to being really well named, or else people are going to develop all sorts of things without anybody being able to tell actually what it is.
Yeah, and also I recommend adding the description as well. As much if you add as much description as possible, then when they see when they look at the description, they will know what all are there, what kind of data set it is, so that they don't replicate it or duplicate it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that could quickly get out of hand, couldn't it?
Yes.
Well, we can mitigate that risk by implementing the like an exception report. As part of it, we can see which data set was implemented in the last week or something like that. It's part of the pipeline I'm busy building now anyway, so we can just build a report of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Indira. That was really cool. I think my favorite one must be the field parameters one. I'm definitely going to use that.
Yes, definitely.
Because it used to be bookmarks, everywhere for bookmarks.
You used to have 100 bookmarks. Now you don't.
That's me. That's me.
Just a quick question, Indira, that data hub section that you had there that shows the data sets and stuff, when will that be active? When will that be live? I mean, when can we?
No, it is active now. It is active now.
Is it active? Okay.
It is active now in my Power BI tenant. Just give me a minute.
Okay, so we all can find it in our Power BI.
Yeah, you all can access. Yes, this is my Datacom tenant. Yeah, so this is you all can access. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was made available from June, I think. Yeah, June or May, I can't remember. I think it's part of the build release, so May. Any other questions? Yeah, I covered only the major features that were released in build, because there are other like error bars and other little bit improvements. I didn't cover those because we just had 1 hour. So yeah.
I think for the data, for the BI team itself, currently, guys, if there's anyone of you guys that thinking of building those data marts, let's just talk about it, okay, and get it. And let's just position it right. Then we carry on with it, please. I'm just gonna say that. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Indira.
No worries. Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you, Indira. Thank you very much.
Indira. Thank you.
Thank you.